Indo e Yokoso Lexus. Pardon my Japanese, but welcome to India, Lexus. Well, it's been a long time coming, but Lexus is finally in India. So far, luxury always meant something German, something British, or even something Swedish. But Lexus is here and promises to offer a very different take on luxury, something very Japanese. They want us to get familiar with terms such as takumi, craftsmanship, and omotenashi, which is Japanese for hospitality. They are in beautiful Kunur, and with me today are three very different flavors of the Lexus experience. Lexus has a full range of models abroad, but it is starting its India innings with these three: the ES 300h sedan, the RX 450h SUV, and the LX 450d SUV. We'll go in order of price. So first on the list is the ES 300h. Let's get the bad news out of the way first. The ES 300h may be the entry point to Lexus's India range, but cheap it is not. Imported from Japan and subject to the full range of duties, the ES 300h costs 55.2 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi. What makes the price pinch even more is the fact that the ES 300h shares a lot with the Toyota Camry. Remember, Toyota owns Lexus. But before you rule out the ES 300h as just a Camry with a Lexus badge, note that the similarities between the two remain hidden deep under the skin. The ES 300h looks like a proper Lexus with a design that is elegant and some parts sporty too. Without a doubt, what gives the ES 300h's design some real character is the oversized spindle grille that makes the front end look imposing and distinctive. The sharply cut headlights add their own drama to the front end. There's a pleasant balance to the rest of the design, and the ES does manage to carry off its 4.9 meter length with grace. There's a nice flow from the chunky C-pillar to the tail section. The tail lights with the L-shaped LEDs add a degree of distinction to the rear, and you'll also like the boot for the amount of luggage it can hold. There's a lot to like in the cabin too. The leather seats, for one, not only look rich, but are really well cushioned. Then there's the general look of the cabin. The dashboard is split horizontally into display areas, including the instruments console and center screen, and control areas, including the center console. But it's not solely about functionality here. The layered dash is attractively turned out and characterized by a sweep in the region of the center screen. The screen and infotainment system is unique in its own right. Now Lexus doesn't do touchscreens. What they do get is this controller here. So it works pretty much like a computer mouse. It's got this enter key, so you can click your way through the options. It does take a bit of time getting used to, but I sense it will be quite intuitive to use on the move. The infotainment system offers the essentials, but does miss out on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and Indian cars don't get a functional sat-nav for the moment either. What does more than make amends is the superb 15-speaker Mark Levinson sound system. There's plenty else on board too. The sole version of the ES in India gets 10 airbags, LED headlights, a sunroof, memory seats and mirrors, 3-zone climate control, and a reverse camera. The features are all well and good, but what about quality? Now, when you're talking about the ES 300h's interior, you have to talk of it in terms of its price competition. So, at its current price, it's in line with the BMW 5 Series and the Volvo S90s of the world. So, when you look at it in that way, quality is good, but not quite up there with the best. For instance, if you look at the buttons on the center console, they just lack that richness and that sense of modernity which you get in the other cars. What also drags things down a bit is that a few buttons are a straight lift from the Toyota Camry. Of the larger things common between the Toyota and the Lexus is the hybrid powertrain. Lexus is big on hybrids and sees it as a crucial differentiator in India, especially at a time when emissions have become a part of everyday conversation. The ES 300h's powertrain comprises a 160 HP 2.5-liter petrol engine and a 105 kilowatt or 140 HP electric motor. The combined max power of the hybrid system is a decent 205 HP. While the setup and power output is the same as the Toyota Camry hybrids, the Lexus runs a different ECU for its powertrain, and the driving experience in general is a whole lot more different too. So the ES300H is a Camry under the skin, but you have to give it to Lexus, who've done a lot to make it actually feel like a Lexus. For instance, sound deadening is a lot better here. You don't hear all that much of the engine. It does strain at times, and there's no getting around that, but the sound is more distant here. Also, the suspension is virtually silent, so it does give the cabin a nice and calm, a very relaxing air. And you have the option to keep the noise to a bare minimum. On offer is EV mode, which means full electric power, so when there's enough charge you can drive on pure electric power. It's a good way to make silent progress in rush hour traffic, but there is a rather limited range of just a few kilometers or so, and you have to be very gentle with throttle inputs to keep it running in pure electric mode. Also on offer is Eco, Normal and Sport driving modes. Now what these do is alter the characteristics of the engine, the electric motor and even the steering. The three modes do give the desired performance, and in fact when you really push down on the throttle, acceleration is brisk. But the overall feeling that you get in the ES300 is that this is a car that doesn't really like to be hustled. This is a car that you should drive in a relaxed manner, and it's a car that will lower your pulse rate. Lexus claims a 0 to 100 kph time of 8.5 seconds for the ES300H, which is respectable. If and when you do drive the ES hard, you'll find the CVT gearbox makes the engine sound strange, but is also quite ready and responsive to manual shifts at the gear lever. Also, on a quick run, you'll find the front-wheel drive ES to grip well and handling to be tidy, but not much more. On a twisty road, you can tell the ES300H doesn't really have very sporty pretensions. Sure, the steering has got more weight and more feel than you would get in a Camry, especially in sport mode here. But this is not a car that you'd like to throw into and out of corners. If not handling, what will be of interest to all and sundry is the ES's ride quality. The suspension is really absorbent with little of that low seat firmness we've just come to accept from European cars. The overall experience is rather plush. Coming to the all-important rear seat. So as you can see, there's a lot of space in the back seat of the ES300H. Legroom in particular is really good, but the highlight for me has got to be the seat itself. Very well cushioned, it's nice and soft, and you know, it's a place you'd really like to slouch down on after a tough day at the office. The only thing that really takes away from the experience a bit is that side support is a bit lacking. The seat isn't as generous down here. So to summarize, the ES's strengths lie in its relaxing persona, efficient powertrain, and the fact that it's got a degree of novelty that many luxury buyers want from their 50 lakh rupee plus cars. And that Camry Connect, well, you really don't need to worry about it. There are areas where the ES isn't a match for European luxury sedans in the same price band, but this is a likable package and a good entry point to the Lexus brand. Earlier in the show, we featured the ES300H, that is Lexus's sole sedan in India for now. Time to switch focus to the SUVs. Offering number 2 from Lexus is the edgy RX 450H. Again, it is expensive with prices starting at an exorbitant 1.07 crore rupees. But what a looker! About the size of a BMW X5, the RX is full of sharp angles and edges and looks like nothing else out there. The spindle-like grille up front is huge, the headlights look razor sharp, and that flowing roof just floats above the rear in an extremely interesting manner. There are 2 trims on sale in India, but the visual differences are concentrated in the cabin.
This is the F Sport, which, as is obvious, is the sportier of the two RXs on offer. So what is it that you get in the F Sport? Well, for one, you get a racier theme inside the cabin. The red leather seats, the red leather all around here is part of the package. And you know what? It doesn't look garish, but actually looks racy and sporty.
On the whole, the interior is unique in look, but is user-friendly too. The low-slung dash allows for great visibility, while the massive 12.3-inch screen for the infotainment system is also positioned high up and in your line of sight. The screen is your go-to place to set up the superb Mark Levinson sound system. Built to carry large American frames, the seats are big and supportive, and you can recline the backrest via a button here as well. Space is good, but headroom can be a bit tight for taller occupants. Poke around the cabin and you'll find fit and finish to be good, but the RX isn't quite as solidly put together as many of its German rivals. The RX 450h does distinguish itself for its hybrid powertrain though. The drive system combines a 262 HP 3.5-liter petrol V6 mated to a pair of electric drive motors that put out 123 kilowatts or 167 HP. Total combined power is 313 HP. The RX also uses a four-wheel drive system that is quite unique. Here, drive at the rear is provided via an electric motor. So, how does it all come together?
The RX 450h really feels like a strong car. Now, that is expected. It's got a strong and powerful V6 engine that comes mated to an electric motor. And you can actually feel the electric assist in initial acceleration. It really picks up speed really well.
0 to 100 kph comes up in a quick 7.7 seconds, but when you rush the RX, the CVT gearbox tends to play spoilsport. The stretch and strain from the CVT's belts and pulley system is so much that the feeling of accelerating hard is nowhere near as immersive as it should be. There are multiple drive modes on offer, namely Eco, Normal, Sport and Sport Plus, each with their own powertrain, steering and suspension settings. The adjustable dampers provide a good balance between suppleness and control in normal mode, but prove too firm in Sport Plus. The upside of the stiffness in the suspension is that body control is very respectable.
Now, for all its looks, the RX isn't the sportiest handler. I would say handling and general body control is neat and tidy, but it lacks a bit in terms of excitement, and that is a bit disappointing because remember, for the same money you can get yourself a Jaguar F-Pace or even a Porsche Macan.
Then again, what differentiates the Lexus RX 450 is that little H that follows the name. It's a hybrid. At a time when SUVs and especially diesel SUVs are demonized, the RX 450h comes across as a guilt-free indulgence. Not half as politically correct as the RX 450h is the big daddy of the Lexus range, the LX 450d. Here are just some of its numbers. It's over 5 meters long, nearly 2 meters wide, weighs upwards of 2.6 tons, is powered by a 265 horsepower 4.5-liter V8 diesel, and costs an eye-watering 2.3 crore rupees ex-showroom. The LX is Lexus's version of the Toyota Land Cruiser LC200, so this is a tough-as-nails, body-on-frame SUV. The LX is so huge and bulky that it looks like it's got some amount of armor protection from the factory itself. Seriously, see one in your rearview mirror and you'll just make way for it. For the few interested in one, that's one part of the appeal of an LX.
So, the Lexus LX experience starts at first hauling yourself up into the high cabin. You need to use this handle to get yourself up. But once inside, you get such a nice commanding view of the road. It's almost like you own it. Now the next thing. The LX has a V8 engine, but it sounds a bit industrial, and that's not all that nice because when you go to your favorite five-star hotel, you won't make the quietest of entries. But when you're inside, keep the double glazed windows closed, and a lot of the noise will be outside.
There are lots of soft touch plastics, a lavish use of wood, and even aluminium detailing in the cabin. But there are a few hard plastics here and there, and it doesn't feel at par with a Range Rover. The LX's dashboard is dominated by a 12.3-inch screen, the controls to which sit in the region of the gear lever. But the controls of real interest are for the off-road functions. The LX gets full-time four-wheel drive with a low range, a lockable center differential, and selectable drive modes that tweak the electronics for various off-road scenarios. Unfortunately, today we won't get to put the LX's renowned off-road ability to the test. Anyway, this is a wide cabin and front passengers get large thrones to sit on, fitting for the king of the road. So how is the LX from behind the wheel?
The Lexus LX, now what can I say? As I mentioned, you already sit at a very high and commanding position. You're almost at eye level with bus drivers. That's how high you sit. As for the driving experience, there's no getting away from the sheer bulk of this thing. And in fact, even you can feel that even the V8 engine is under a lot of strain to keep this thing moving. It is not the quickest to respond, but once the V8 boost kicks in, it pushes forward with a fair amount of ease.
For many though, the most important seats would be the ones at the back. Note, the LX 450D doesn't get a third row of seats.
If you're interested in the Lexus LX, it goes without saying that you're going to be interested in this seat as well. Well, Lexus, for its part, has done enough to ensure rear seat passengers are well taken care of. There are two large entertainment screens in the back. They are a bit in your face, but they do offer plenty of entertainment options. There's also 4-zone climate control, and the controls are right here. But this is not quite really the best of back seats. Surprisingly, it's not as spacious as you'd expect it to be. Legroom is good, but it could have been better still, especially considering how large this SUV is. Also, the ride is a bit lumpy, and the seating position is a bit knees up, so it's not very comfortable. But then again, you can't forget the fact that few SUVs can take you to places this one can.
The LX really feels bomb-proof and is most likely to outlast its owners as well. Pity it cost the earth. So that's our first impression of the Lexus range in India. The ES300H, RX 450H and LX 450D are likable in their own ways, but there's just no denying they are expensive too. The sad fact is that they will remain so until Lexus starts local assembly sometime down the line. But Lexus won't be just about the cars. The promise is of Japanese reliability, relatively low ownership costs, and a stress-free ownership, traits that are sure to find resonance with Indian buyers. Lexus's start may be small, but this is certainly a brand to watch out for.
To celebrate a hugely successful first year of the Innova Crysta in India, Toyota has launched this, the Innova Touring Sport. Now, while the name might be slightly different, what this is in essence is a cosmetic upgrade to help make the MPV look and feel just a little bit sportier. There are no mechanical changes, so what I'm going to do is quickly talk you through everything that's new. On the outside, everything is altogether blacker, with black inserts in the headlamps, a black grille, and a black chin spoiler at the front. There are also new chrome inserts around the grille and in the bumper, and this wildfire red paint shade exclusive to the Touring Sport. You can also have it in white. Around the side, you'll find black colored alloy wheels and black cladding around the base of the car, again with a bit more chrome. Interestingly, the wheel size is down from 17 to 16 inches, with taller profile tires across the entire Innova range, which we believe has been done to help preserve the tires under heavy weight loads. And finally at the rear, where there's now a black rather than chrome strip between the tail lamps, a few more chrome accents in the bumper, and of course a Touring Sport badge. And don't go expecting any dramatic changes on the inside, because here too things are much the same as before. Now, like with the standard Crysta, the Touring Sports interior is a very high quality place with a few quirky design details thrown in for good measure. But still, things are a little bit different. Like for instance, this red contrast stitching on the upholstery and on the steering wheel as well. Even the wood, it is in a racier red shade, and on the steering wheel there is a black insert as well. The dials too have been painted red just to make them feel a little bit sportier. And since it's based on the top spec Innova Crysta, you get a generous list of equipment too. There's auto climate control, leather upholstery, a touchscreen with navigation, automatic headlamps, and even cruise control, amongst a whole lot more. The backseat experience is just as spacious and comfortable as in the regular car, but bear in mind that you cannot have the Touring Sport with a bench seat in the middle row. It only comes with the individual captain's seat option, so it will always be a 7-seater rather than an 8-seater. The 4-engine and gearbox configurations also continue unchanged, and that means we get a choice of a 2.7-liter petrol with either a manual or automatic gearbox, a 2.4-liter diesel with a manual, and a 2.8-liter diesel with an automatic. And this is how the variants of the Touring Sport are priced, ranging from 17.79 lakh to 22.15 lakh rupees ex-showroom value. At these prices, the Touring Sport costs roughly 70,000 rupees more than its Crysta equivalent, and on paper that might seem like quite a lot for what is essentially a cosmetic upgrade. However, the Innova Crysta is already priced at a premium for an MPV, and that hasn't stopped buyers from simply lapping it up, with the company having sold almost 80,000 units in the first year. Now, as such, Toyota is confident that buyer demand will stay strong, and is also confident that buyers will happily pay a bit of a premium for the racier look that you get with this Touring Sport variant.